And welcome into the Thursday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How we doing? What's going on?
Doing just fine. And if I had any ailments, I wouldn't tell you about them anyway.
That's
doing
good.
great.
That's good. That's how
keep
this
that
program
to ourselves.
Goes. Yeah, we don't talk about those things.
That's right.
Here on this program.
We keep it nice and clean, and everybody's happy, and all the limbs are working.
Yeah.
There's no uric acid in any parts of your body that they shouldn't be. Oh, sorry.
I'm glad to know that everything's feeling good this morning.
Thank you.
It's good stuff.
British Open's on.
Yeah, it is. Ian Safar. Fear not. Wimbledon's gone, but the Open's on today, baby.
Oh, man,
we're all good.
Just can't get enough of my European sports right now.
Yeah, he's fired up. And Ian was, by the time Wimbledon ended, it lasted 6 weeks. And by the time Wimbledon was done, Ian was sad to see it go. But now we got the Open on live sports as our radio show's going on.
So
that's right.
So forgive my ignorance. This rotates about 3 or 4 different courses?
Maybe
right?
more than that.
Is it more than that?
Okay. It definitely
this
rotates.
This one is where?
This is in Northern Ireland.
This is in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Royal Portrush is where they're at.
Okay.
Northern Ireland.
Because I feel like it's in Scotland a pretty fair amount.
Yes. So.
Looks cloudy.
It looks like
and cold.
Yeah. Anyway, you can every time you ever watch the Open, it's exactly what it looks like. It's about 60 degrees, and now it's spitting rain out there. So see how that goes for them playing a little golf out there. Good stuff.
Summertime.
Mid-July.
Summertime in Northern Ireland.
Sounds great.
Fear not, though. We are 2 weeks away from preseason football.
Yes, we are.
Exactly 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Rexrode, get excited, baby.
I know. It's like, and then you get to the preseason football, like,
oh boy.
How long to the season? But
although it's 5 weeks. We're the earliest Labor Day you can get, September 1st. Season starts early this year, September 4th.
That's a good point.
Look,
we do have college week zero college football too. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I guess that would be what you're talking about, right? Yeah. Because there's the week 0 before Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
super early.
Is that 5 weeks?
The 23rd? Something like that?
5 weeks from probably tomorrow, right? We'll probably have a couple games.
Ian's bringing the positive news this morning.
I like it, man. I'm in. We're getting there.
We are getting there. We got a lot to get into on the program here today. We will be joined by Mike Herndon later in the show. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him, so looking forward to that conversation. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode at 7:45. Best and worst things in sports coming up later this hour at 6:45. So we will take those throughout the show. 615-737-1025. Joe, we have heard us talk about it. We've heard everybody on this station talk about it. And you look at the Titans roster, it's not hard to draw conclusions that it doesn't feel like the Titans are necessarily building for the 2025 version of their football team. If they are, they got some holes that they're going to have to fill at some point. So we know that this is going to be a building process. They've just drafted Cam Ward at number 1 overall. Obviously, he is the most important part of this organization right now. And if he works out and is what they hope he is, then they could be a good football team for a long time as they move into this new stadium coming up in 2027. But it does feel like they're trying to position themselves where by the time 2027 rolls around and that new stadium is open, that they can be a team to be reckoned with in the AFC. And hopefully if it goes to their plan at that point, you're talking about Cam Ward entering into his 3rd year, and you're feeling pretty good about the way that he's played to this point, and they built up a nice squad around it. We'll see if in actuality it all plays out that way, and if Cam Ward is that guy, or if this time 2 years from now we're talking about, so are the Titans going to draft somebody else after this year? We'll get into all that and watch that information unfold as it does. But you've come up with a question today that I think for Titans fans is a very interesting one. It's been rough around here lately. Watching this football team has been largely a chore the last few years rather than an enjoyable experience. And now you're looking at the roster, you're looking at Cam Ward, and yeah, it'll be fun to watch Cam Ward this year. But the expectations for this football team are going to be pretty low heading into this year. And the question is, how patient are Titans fans willing to be? What's the patience look like if you're a Titans fan that's sat through all of this and is looking at this and knowing that it may be 2027, 2028, somewhere in that neighborhood before you know you might have a legitimate chance to actually compete again.
Yeah, we talk about Amy Adams-Strunk's patience or lack thereof, but what about our customers? I just think that in this league, and I know, we're going to talk with the R word, in sports, the rebuild word, about the Preds later too. But I think in the NFL, I think it's very different in the two leagues. I think in the NFL, like next year, you better be pretty good. I think. I mean, I think this year, again, people can disagree or agree. I mean, that's why we're throwing this out there. I mean, everybody's got to be realistic. Like Von Miller who did he just sign with?
Washington.
There you go. Commanders. That's a team that thinks they're good this year. Who would need a Von Miller more desperately than the Titans? I can't think of a team. But
I can't either.
But
even at his age, I'd be like, yeah, come on in.
But there's no talk of that because he's ring chasing, and we see this every year. We see some pass rushers who, can get a $5-6 million deal, still have a little juice to give, can give you a few sacks, give you a little help in the sub package or receivers or whatever. And again, that's why people are talking about trading for Juwan Jennings or whatever. I don't think it's going to happen. The Titans, if they can improve their team, I'm sure they will this year. But we all know it's going to be tough sledding this year, right? It's about finding out about the rookie. Then you can get in the argument about, okay, well, boy, don't you want to be as good as possible for him? But still, we know where they came from, the rough shape of the roster. I think most people understand this year. I think next year, and now then there's so many moving parts. There's the coaching aspect of it too. But I think next year in this league, there's no excuse. If you go 3 straight years, first of all, it'll be 4 straight losing seasons. But we could call the 2022 season, I mean, they were good. They were leading the division most of the year. They blew it. 23, 24, 25. Okay. That's 3 straight bad seasons. We think this one will be that. Maybe they'll be the surprise of the league.
We'll see.
But you can't go to a 4th, to me. And also, if you're Amy Adams-Strunk, I don't know that, you want to be like, we're going to really stink, and then when we open the stadium, then we're going to be good. I mean, to me, there's at least somewhat of there's got to be a clock that says 2026, you need to, be able to be a 500-ish team, and in the AFC freaking South have a chance.
I do think the stadium stuff gets overblown sometimes.
I think you're probably right.
I know it's important to, obviously, when you're opening a new stadium, you want to be good, right? Like, wasn't it the Rams?
Excitement.
Like, wasn't it the Rams when they opened up their new stadium? When did SoFi open up?
I want to say it was wasn't it that 2021 year? I think it was when the Titans went in there, and I think that was the first year of SoFi.
I think it was. Yeah. It's it opened 2020 is when SoFi opened.
Okay.
So you're talking not that long ago. And when was LA the Rams in the Super Bowl? 2 years later, right? They won the Super Bowl against Cincinnati. And was that 2022 when the game was? Yeah, it was the 21 season, 22 Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was the same season the Titans beat them in their building. They won it all, right?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
like, great.
Obviously that's what you're looking for. Like, you're looking for pretty quickly after you open a new stadium, you are right there and you are competing and right at the top of the league. I get it. I also think that, to your point, the idea that it's just like, well, just wait until 2027 and then everything's going to magically be okay because we're opening up this new stadium is a hard thing to do. Like, if Cam Ward is really, really good, we're probably going to see signs of that before 2027 would be my guess. Like,
if we don't, he won't be there.
I doubt very seriously it's going to take until 2027 for us to be like, oh, yeah, I think this kid might have a chance. So if that's the case and he's what you've drafted him to be, hopefully you'll see some of that this year, and there'll be some signs where you watch it and you say, okay, he's playing pretty well. He's elevating some of his teammates around him. But frankly, the roster right now, like, what's the upside of this roster? If let's say Cam Ward's great this year, is this a playoff team? Maybe, if he's really great this year. But there's still so many holes on this team right now that even that I think is going to be really hard. But if you walked away from the end of this season and you felt like, all right, you have figured out quarterback, get out there this next offseason and add as much as you can around this quarterback, then you're right. 2026, like that should be when you really start to see that trajectory go up as a team.
And it will if or it has a much better chance of doing that. Like if your draft picks this year were good, for example, some previous ones too. I mean, there's still, as we've talked about, we've talked about, I mean, Latham is one of them now, but previously Skoronski, some of these other guys. I mean, again, there aren't even that many, but like this last draft class, they've got to be. You've just got to have a lot of success stories. You got to have some guys the guys who played last year got to take big steps, and you got to get something to me pretty good out of at least one of those fourth round receivers, and on and on. I mean, the Dejo is a huge story for the trajectory this year. Fine, but even with it's like with Cam Ward too. You said, does he show some signs? I mean, to me, I think he's got to show a lot of signs, even if they're not winning games. You can do that because the patience in this league. Not that the number one, not that anybody's bailing out of the number one pick, but I mean, again, bad franchise, so you can't use them as an example of like the league at large. But look at what happened with Carolina and Bryce Young, and like I was among many who were like, oh, he's going to be great instantly. He wasn't at all. And it looked like he was out. He was done quickly. So, I mean, things happen really fast in this league. But, yeah, by next year, you better hope that there's some building on things this year to keep people engaged, because that's what I wonder about too. Is like if it's really, really bad this year, I mean, how much apathy are you starting to create out there?
So that's where we're starting today. Titans fans, how patient are you willing to be at this point, knowing that there is a new quarterback coming in Cam Ward, and that's where the hope of the franchise lies right now. And also, there's been a whole lot of losing that's going on around here lately. We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, the game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. Throwing it out there to Titans fans. How patient are you willing to be, knowing that there's a new quarterback coming in, knowing also there's been a whole lot of losing that's going on around here as of late? Taking your thoughts on that, 615-737-1025. Let's head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jared in Spring Hill to the program. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, gentlemen. I just feel, to me, I'm just going to be very patient with this team just because I feel like that's our only option. And, I feel like we've been pushing a corner to where we can only be patient. I would just love for the organization to come out in some type of way and be self-aware and be like, hey, we're also going to be patient on expecting wins, there needs to be a little bit of self-awareness to me. And I even want them to be patient in putting Cam Ward on the field. If this is their guy, just make sure he's ready. I'm not saying sit him 8 games. Just make sure he's ready before we go out there and let's approach it. And I feel like the best long-term approach. Have a great day, gentlemen. Stay hydrated out there. It's a hot one.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Here's something I wonder. If you're a Titans fan that has watched all of this go down the last few years, and yes, losing has been a massive part of it, but there have also been, as we've well documented here on the show, some pretty fly by the seat of your pants decisions made by the owner here. Does that make you more patient because you realize how reactionary at times things have been around here, that you're more willing at that point to say, all right, look, this may be painful, but I'll sit through a couple years of pain if I feel like they're doing things right around here? I wonder if Titans fans who have watched this closely and the way that this has all gone down may have that view of it, where they're willing to be maybe a little bit more patient than they normally would.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I think something Jared brought up there definitely goes into this is the messaging. Now, I feel like there's definitely been more be patient, I think, coming out of that building.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
In this offseason than there was. And that goes back to last year when you could definitely say there were a few, sometimes ran, left the oven on and overstated a few things.
Overcooked.
Yeah, there you go.
Ran overcooked.
Could have just ran overcooked. Yes, ran may have overcooked. But not overcooked in a good way. If you overcooked the actual, I don't know. How does that work? I was going to say, if you overcooked as a GM, does that mean you have too many good players? Probably
ran
not.
with some of his comments last year, burnt the crap out of it.
Yeah.
The checking every box, and we got every single coach we wanted, all of them, first choice coaches. It's like, okay.
Yeah, the GM's always texting about, oh, man.
Every move they make, every GM in the league's like, oh, God. Right there, I was going to do that.
It's like a fantasy football draft from the message board. You're talking trash to each other. All the other NFL GMs are like, oh, Rand, are you – oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean, and look, Brian Callahan's part of this too, for sure.
So was Chad Brinker, by the way.
Yes. But look, I still, with Brian Callahan, I think the Levis stuff was especially the overselling from him. But I continue to believe, and I will always believe, that he believed it. So which goes to show you, whatever we hear about Cam, and we've heard very good things about Cam, and they, of course, you draft someone number 1 overall, we've heard all the things. They're waiting just like us to see what he's like. Then you get into, that's a different topic, but Jared talking about, being patient. I agree. If you think that he's not ready, then you do something else. But I just don't think we're even going to get to that conversation with them. Right? Yeah. I think he's going to get the reps, and I think they're going to start him week 1.
Oh, I think they are too. And I think that conversation kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. I think you have to realize that even though he's a number 1 overall pick, and the expectation for a number 1 overall pick is going to be through the roof, particularly with what we've seen from some high drafted quarterbacks the last 2 years, that it's going to be an up and down ride with Cam Ward this year. And particularly with what's around him, I'm going to have a pretty – I'm just telling you, I'm trying to approach this season with Cam Ward with a pretty high degree of patience. Like it's pretty easy to look at the situation around him right now and realize that, I have no idea who he's throwing the ball to outside of Calvin Ridley. I have no idea how any of those other good receivers are going to be. And that includes Tyler Lockett, by the way, who's going to be 33. And I feel good about him being available. He's been available to this point in his career. What's he going to be when he's out there? We've talked at length about that. But I have no idea the quality of weapons around Cam Ward. And if I do have an idea, it's because they're not very good. Like that's what my original thought is heading into this year. So I'm going to be pretty patient on that front. I think where the patience part of it in terms of the immediacy of it gets really interesting is how does that affect Callahan? Like, how does that affect Brian Callahan in all this? Because you're right. I think there has been an approach from the Titans this offseason that has been intentional about trying to sell some of that patience and saying, hey, we're trying to build this here. And Brinker talked about some of that before he even hired Borgonzi of the patience that it was going to take. And then Borgonzi has kind of echoed some of that in the aftermath of it. I like that. Like, I like hearing that. I think they need some of that. How does that affect Callahan? Because does he get afforded some of this patience as well? It's almost like we're talking about two different timelines in some way right here.
There's a lot of different things that can change. And certainly, if we know Amy Adams-Strunk is capable of firing him after a second year if it's not very good. On the quarterback front, like you mentioned, the pay. I'm with you on that. Like, I think you have to be patient with Cam Ward. You have to expect some lumps and all that stuff. But I feel like that's how people were with Levis. It's a different situation for sure. I think he still had a better. Like Hopkins was good that year. It wasn't a very good offensive line situation. He had Derrick Henry. So, you can't just totally discount that. That should make it easy on you. But that was, I think, the mindset with him. And there was mostly encouragement after that season. It was definitely more positive than negative, right?
Yeah.
And then, year two, doesn't work out at all.
Yeah.
So now Derrick Henry left. So, but he never had good offense around him here. And right now, I don't think Cam Ward does either. That's the thing. It's like, I think so much of finding out about him is also just going to be, have they actually fixed the offensive line or not? Or have they actually sort of fixed the offensive line, kind of, a little bit?
Does he have any time to breathe back there?
Yeah. And, you got to be able to run the football. At least they do have a good running back.
That's true.
But, the patience, I have the same mindset, and I think that obviously buys you time when you have a rookie quarterback just with a fan base. But it is like there are so many stories of quarterbacks who flame out quickly in this league. Yep. Teams giving up on quarterbacks in this league. It just everything is so accelerated.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Matt in Gallatin to the program. Matt, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, gentlemen. I appreciate you having my call. I was just sitting here in traffic, man. I was sitting here thinking I was going to get your thoughts. I'm a big Titans and Balls fan, obviously. I see a lot of similarities. We've been patient for years, it seems like, between both of our teams. And I was sitting here thinking I was going to get your thoughts on Cam Ward and the similarities between Jaden Daniels. And I look at this Titans roster, and I'm thinking about what Washington was able to accomplish with him in his rookie season. And I'm looking at our roster versus what Washington's roster looked like his rookie year. And he did a lot with what to me seemed like was not a whole lot of superstars on the roster. So I want to get your thoughts. I'm patient. I'm hopeful at the same time. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with Falls fans and Titans fans just hanging on to that thread of hope. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on what our roster looks like compared to what your thoughts are on what the Commanders' roster looked like his rookie year for Daniels.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate the call. I would say this, but I didn't look at Washington's roster last year at the beginning of the year and really, frankly, at the end of the year and think to myself, wow, that thing is just loaded with superstars. Like, we've known for a long time that Terry McLaurin's a really good player, right? Now, one thing that Adam Peters, their general manager, did last year, and we've talked about this, they had a lot of guys come in on 1-year deals that ended up playing specific roles for them and
That
played them
hit.
well. That
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
And do the Titans have some of those guys this year? Like, I don't know. Is Lockett going to come in and give you 65 catches this year? I mean, if so, that would really help on the offensive side of the ball. Are they going to, is Cody Barton going to come in and play really well? Draymond Jones coming in.
Yeah.
Like, do those guys that they've went out and signed, Zeitler, like, is Zeitler going to be an absolute stud at right guard? Like, if those things happen, along with excellent quarterback play, well, then maybe. Like, you may have a shot. Now, I still don't know that I would see, AFC championship game appearance on the docket there based on some of the other quarterbacks that are in this conference. But that would be what I would say. I would say this. I think Washington's roster was in a little bit better of a shape, particularly on the defensive side,
For sure,
than this one is. But we'll see. The quarterback is if you get good enough quarterback play, Joe, we know it's the tide that rises all boats.
Yeah, Washington definitely had a better roster last year in retrospect, especially like you said, some of those guys, some of those short-term deals were good. It wasn't an amazing roster, though. I mean,
No.
Jane Daniels was the number one story of that roster. So, I mean, I'm a huge believer in him. I think he's going to be a star in this league for a long time. We're going to find out about Cam Ward. If they come close to anything like that, barring a whole bunch of things that we don't foresee, I think that's got to mean that Cam Ward elevated everybody.
Well, if they come close to anything like that, I mean, there's going to be just bedlam around here, excitement levels of Cam Ward. It's going to be what it is, which, hey, I'm here for.
Yeah.
We need some of that around here. 615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot more of your thoughts to get to on the Titans. We will do that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game. Don't miss out on some of Nashville's best deals. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals, and you can purchase half off on gift cards for Staley's Chicago Italian Dining, 312 Pizza, Streetcar Taps and Garden, and a whole lot more. Just again, head to thegamenashville.com/deals and check it out while supplies last. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. We'll have the best and worst things in sports coming up at 6:45. Let's head back to our phone line and welcome in Kenny the mailman to the program. Kenny, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, one and all. The number one thing to do today is try not to burn up.
Yes, there's no doubt. It is steamy out there.
I appreciate y'all bringing the subject up, and I don't call as much as I used to because I always said when I get older and you hear people calling, I hate this, I hate that, I would never be that guy. But, the Titans have almost turned me into that guy, taking me from being a really, really good fan to now basically it's just a pleasant diversion because of how poorly they're run. It's like you don't want to invest your feelings and your life and your money into something that you don't get much, back, tangible. And my boys love going. I maybe go once a year because I refuse to go to a game where half the people are cheering for the other team. It's just not a good, pleasant atmosphere. And if you think it's bad now, wait till prices are double. The first couple of years in the new stadium is going to be great because it's a new building. Look at all the new bells and whistles. But after another 3 or 4 years of losing, it's going to look like a Chargers game just about every home game where the other team has more fans than you do. What do y'all think of that? And I'll hang up and listen. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate it.
Jeez, Kenny, bringing the rain and the clouds.
I mean, it is. I'm trying to. Was it the? I think it was a Rams game too. I think there was a Rams-Niners playoff game.
Yeah,
where you looked in the stands and it was like, is this in San Francisco or is this in LA? Like, what's going on out there? A lot of
Niners fans there for sure.
Yeah. Like, look, I hear everything Kenny's saying there, right? Like, I have no doubt, and we've talked about this with Kuharski, he says the ticket sales for the new stadium are going really well. And I have no doubt about that, right? Like, there's a lot of corporate stuff going on around here now, and this is a different place than it used to be. And, it's a bright, shiny new toy that we're about to have with the new stadium here. So Kenny, I think he's exactly right there. For the first couple of years, it's going to be, wow, look at the new stadium. People will want to go for the new stadium. I want to go for the new stadium just to check it out.
Of course.
And then after a while, like the newness of that kind of wears off a little bit. And it's like, all right, well,
what's the product?
How good's the football team?
Yeah.
And I worry about a couple of things with the new stadium. One is what Kenny just brought up. If the product's not any good, is this just going to continue to devolve into, oh, wow, look, there are 35,000 Bills fans hanging around out here. What's going on?
People aren't going to stop wanting to come to Nashville for weekends.
Exactly.
Which is good for Nashville.
I worry about that. And I also worry about it. We've heard from Titans fans on this, and I don't know what exactly it's going to look like. We'll have to wait and see. But, like, are the prices to a point where it's going to feel like basically just this bleh environment in there because it's too corporate, right? Like,
yeah,
not to make the exact same comparison because it's not the same comparison, but like I watch Toronto Maple Leafs games in the NHL and even playoff games, and I'm like, okay, well, this is supposed to be the mecca of hockey, and it just feels like this just blah environment in there. It's because it's all corporate, like it's all corporate tickets that are in there. So I don't think, again, it's not a great comparison because I don't think that the Titan Stadium will become that. But I do worry about that to some degree.
Yeah, no, it's all fair. Apparently, Kenny doesn't like bowl games. I mean, what's wrong with a little, like 50-50 crowd screaming back and forth each other? But no, I get it. If you're home in your home stadium, you expect your team to have an advantage. And too often the Titans haven't had enough of one. And, yeah, like this year, I haven't really looked at the schedule in terms of, like, fan bases I know are going to be like, oh my God, Nashville, because that's the thing. Like the NFC teams, it's every 8 years.
Yeah.
So like, so it's who's the NFC? What's the NFC division this year? It's
it's the West.
It's the West.
Yeah. No one really stands out. The Chiefs come to town December 21st.
Yep.
The Saints aren't supposed to be very good this year. That's the end of December.
Yeah, so the December ones are, and
San
that's
Francisco's
already kind of iffy anyway.
on the road.
Are a lot of Patriots fans coming down to watch?
Yeah. Probably.
What's the
Maybe.
Rapester?
And a lot of Patriots fans are here.
Yep.
Too.
In Seattle.
Seahawks fans.
That's about it, though.
Damn
Rams, there's
Yankees.
no really Rams and Chargers, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So I guess this year isn't a vintage, like, because this is, look, patience. Titans fans are patient. They, they're going to hang in with their team. Are they going to hang in and spend? I can't I can't blame. And if a Titans fan is able to like sell off tickets one week, and again, I don't know what the obvious one of that. There's no bills coming in or anything like that, and pay for the rest of their year and season tickets. Like, can you blame someone as bad as the product is right now?
No,
I can't.
Mo's on the text line says, I feel like Titans fans have been patient since 2022. How more years should we be patient? That's kind of the root of this question.
That's what we're trying to ask you, Mo.
That's kind of the root of the question.
How patient are you?
It's been rough lately. We get it. David says, I'm willing to be patient with a new quarterback. I think we tend to forget last season the boneheaded turnovers by the quarterback and special teams led directly to a handful of losses. Average play there, and we're talking about a 6-win team taking the next step. I think they can hit 8 wins next year without the wild turnovers. This is from David on the text.
So this year?
I guess
you mean this year?
I guess so.
So what's the longest that Titans fans have had to be patient since they've been in Nashville? I mean, I guess
it depends on your view. If you're
yeah.
if you're talking championship the whole time.
Well, sure. Yeah. No, I'm saying like, between like good eras of football. I mean, and of course, whenever you dip, you're going to draft Vince Young, and then you get to 9-7 in 2011. But then, Young's, Fisher gets fired. So you have the Munchak era. You got the real bad. I mean, you went 12, 13, 14, 15,
it was
4
that
straight
stretch.
years.
Yeah.
That would be the toughest.
After the 08 season when they were,
Not that 04, 05, and 06 weren't tough, but at least in 06 you had Vince Young Rookie of the Year.
Right.
So it was a 2-year. That's what in the NFL it should only be about a 2-year,
Yeah.
And so you could look at it like terrible years, 14 and 15.
Because it was bad.
The Munchak years were,
it was bad,
it was rough.
Oh, yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing,
then you go 4 straight 9-7s, but at least those were,
yeah.
There's always moving parts, right? That was Mariota, pretty good quarterback for the Titans, and then you kind of realize that he wasn't the guy, and then we know what happened.
Pretty good quarterback that wasn't the guy for the Titans.
But he got it the 5 year. You got into that 5th year.
The one thing they've had in those stretches is, like you said, I mean, in 06, Vince Young came on board. So you had the high drafted quarterback, Jake Locker. You had a high drafted quarterback at that time. Now, it didn't take very long, at least in my opinion, to look at Locker and be like, oh boy, I don't know if that's going to work.
Can you play linebacker?
Yeah. And then you had Mariota.
There's actually some Levis Locker comparisons.
Really kind of are. Yeah. And then after that, you had Mariota. So sprinkled into some of these horrible stretches, they have had, the excitement of the rookie quarterback or the young quarterback coming in at that time. I mean, I guess you could throw Levis in there too if you want to, even though, the Levis had come when Tannehill was still here and you had just had pretty recent success there. So it's not exactly the same thing. But, I mean, Ward, fair or not fair, this is the number 1 pick, right? Like, it's different. They've not had the number 1 pick.
That's true.
At quarterback.
Yeah, that is true. I think the patience level is going to be like the same as Mariota, like who was the number 2 pick. It's the very top of the draft. But you're right. It's still they've never had that exact thing. So, and of course, it's also in very Titans tradition, like the most I don't even think he was on TV when he got drafted. Under-discussed number 1 overall pick of all time.
And the Titans have drafted Cam Ward. Hey, there's a trade in the NFL. A trade has gone down. The Jaguars are moving up.
Sorry, guys. Got to make a big deal.
You think that's why they made the trade?
Yeah.
They were hunting up
we
Travis
want
Hunter.
him to be nothing more than him.
God, it's just amazing that guy's a GM in the NFL.
They were hunting up
Travis
Hunter.
He might end up being the best GM in the NFL, but my God.
But the real reason they made the trade is because he just wanted to stick it to the Titans. He's like, screw you, Cam.
Have some, Nashville.
Take some of that, Cam Ward.
Travis Hunter is who we've been hunting up.
Incredible.
I will say, I can't wait to watch those idiots this year. See how that goes. They're going to end up going like 10-7. It'll be fun.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I think Liam Cohen's pretty good.
Trevor Lawrence, I heard him talking somewhere that he's pumped about the new offense.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's fired up out there.
They're
with that
gonna.
new
I mean,
offense.
you know, they are gonna. I think maybe run the football a little bit, which is good for a quarterback. Quarterbacks need that.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll have the best and worst things in sports. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week, now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst. You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Okay, let's go.
It is that time of the week. Time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Yeah, my best is Trey Smith. Pretty amazing to see him be the highest paid guard in NFL history. Awesome for him coming through off these blood clots and everything. I just a fantastic dude from an amazing family. I went back and was reading this story I wrote on him in 2020 about how he was sitting behind the Lady Vols bench booing every time they scored, wearing an Alabama hat. And Pat Summitt kind of, in 2005, like started the recruitment of Trey Smith to Tennessee that day because he was there with his kindergarten teacher, Beth Hudson, who was sorority sisters with Summitt at UT Martin.
Oh, nice.
That is the history of Trey Smith in Tennessee. But amazing dude. Titans should have drafted him. A lot of other teams should have drafted him. Good for him for getting paid. Sorry to stick that knife in there, Titans, but my God. Sixth round. My worst in sports, Caitlin Clark pulling the groin again. And, it's All-Star weekend. She's supposed to do the three-point contest. They haven't ruled her out yet, but, I mean, you can pretty much count her out of the All-Star stuff. The reason that's in Indy is because of Caitlin Clark, and that really sucks. I mean, she's never –
third time, right? Third time this year she's been hurt?
Yeah, she had a quad. And this is the second time with the groin. And as people know, when you have those soft tissue things, I mean, that stuff can be, you think you're ready, you come back. And so she never has missed any time at all. And now she's missing a ton of this season, and especially the All-Star game, which sucks.
Ian Safari, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
You know what? I might just do the best and worst thing this week in sports, SEC Media Days. I think it's probably both. We get some.
You gotta explain how it's best.
Best? Well,
it's a great worst.
Well, you get a few funny things here and there.
Kiffin was good.
Lane Kiffin, couple of sound bites. I guess it was a little weaker this year than most, but in the middle of July, it gives us something to. Gives us a little something for about football. We're starving for football. We get a little sound bites. We get some guys. We get a little something.
I will say to that point, Ian, this is the week every year where I miss Steve Spurrier being a head coach.
Yeah.
Spurrier this time of year was awesome. We need more Spurrier.
I mean, he's out there talking trash now.
I know. He's not even coaching.
I was ripping on Arch, man. I'm ripping on the coach. Why didn't Coach play Arch last year? He's so great. I mean, I totally agree, Steve.
Played the quarterback that went in the 7th round ahead of Arch. What's that tell you about him, huh?
Good. So good for you. He clarified that he's ripping Sarkisian.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm not ripping the player. I think the coach is a moron.
I mean, basically, Lane's the main attraction, right?
He was kind of this year.
I mean, but I think for the most part, who else is entertaining among the 16 SEC coaches?
I mean, I enjoy Sam Pittman, but he's not necessarily entertaining in a press conference setting.
Dude, you're digging deep there.
He drinks the cold beer after they win some games.
That's true. I appreciate that.
I'm going to get a cold beer.
There's a lot of them that Clark Lee's great. A lot of,
Beamer has a rant here or there that's not always terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of entertaining.
The Beamster. Let's not forget
but most
him.
of them are pretty boring. Yeah, they're pretty boring. But, some good scenery down there. Always some wild fans dressed up with something, and there's always some drama. So best and worst, SEC Media Days. And, of course, worst, I don't think we need to explain that much. My goodness.
Is that Clown Drinkwitz going today? Is he out there
yes.
today? Okay, that's good.
Kentucky, Missouri, A&M, and Arkansas,
Jeez.
I think.
Everybody stick around. Are Chase and Big Joe sticking around?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I assume so, but I'm not sure.
Live it up, guys.
Oh, boy. My best thing in sports, we got live sports. The Open's on. Last major championship of the year, oldest major in golf. Sign me up. I'll be locked in all weekend.
Tally-ho!
All weekend, baby. Even as I'm traveling this weekend, I will be locked in to the Open. So I'm looking forward to that. The worst thing, it did happen at SEC Media Days, and I don't particularly find it that egregious. I actually find it kind of funny, but I know some Texas fans were pretty upset about it. When Steve Sarkisian was walking out on the stage the other day and they accidentally played the Texas A&M fight song over the Texas song. Like, oh, great. It's the wrong button you hit there, buddy. This is the Texas coach, not Texas A&M.
That's kind of beautiful right there.
Yeah. It was beautiful. It was. I wonder today when Elko walks out there. Is that today, or did he do it yesterday? I don't even know. Was Elko out there yesterday, or is that today?
I think
it's
we
today.
said today. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So are they just going to fire up the Texas fight song out there today?
And if so, you better put those horns down. Horns down, Elko. I got some multiple bests for Shane Gillis last night. The ESPYs, that could be a worse, by the way. Like I don't think I've ever watched the ESPYs, but like I know of like Norm Macdonald's jokes from a few years ago, like a few decades ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch any last night, but the only thing that I saw was a few clips of Shane Gillis jokes. So he had some good ones.
He did.
I
will say for the 1,000th time on this show, you cannot find an award show that you will get me to watch. It's not just totally awful.
Yeah, I'm still like, I'll do the Oscars sometimes if I really care, about a particular movie or whatever. But yeah, other than that, the sports award show is still to me is like
just
dumb,
totally.
But they're still doing it.
I know.
A great worst here by Kyle from Cookville. This is actually should be a rant. The Teddy Bridgewater thing, where he doesn't work for the school. He's like he's paying for these kids to have this opportunity. Like he's paying for the freaking field to have lines on it. And somebody is whatever. I guess it's an
impermissible
coach.
Benefits. Is that what they called it?
Yeah, he gets suspended. He's like, okay, well, I don't work there, but cool.
Yeah.
If you want me to leave, but he said, like, I'm not leaving. He's investing in these kids, and someone wants to make this an issue. It's amazing to me. It's unbelievable.
615.
Great worse. Thank you, Kyle.
I mean, it does kind of remind you back in the day of, we complained so much about the new landscape of college football. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where people got upset about like random autographs and dinners and tattoos and things of the like,
Yeah, as bad as we want to complain about things now, and I'm with you on some things. Let's not forget that when Johnny Manziel was being hunted down by the FBI for like signing a poster. I mean, seriously, what a stupid timeline that was.
Which, I mean, the more you look back at Johnny Manziel, FBI probably could have hunted him down for a few other things rather than the autograph.
That's true. Could have been an episode of Miami Vice out there.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will continue our theme of the show today. I heard this with DVD the other day, and it was really interesting regarding the rebuild in the National Hockey League. Does it work? And what does it all mean for the Predators? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We will be joined by Mike Herndon from PaulKowarski.com. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we'll get his thoughts on all things Titans as we are less than a week away from the beginning of Titans training camp. Take your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025, our phone number. We will get back into our Titans fans' patience conversation a little bit later in the show as well. A lot of reaction to that. Keep them coming, 615-737-1025. Joe, I heard DVD talk about this the other day on their show, and I think it's a fascinating discussion. So Daily Face-Off, which is a valuable hockey website that I like for a lot of different reasons. They put this piece together. I think Paul Paduti was the author of it and put this piece together about rebuilds in the NHL. Do they actually work? And what does the timeline kind of look like for this? So for starters, here's kind of how they define what a rebuild is. This is their definition of it. A team that has at least 2 bottom 10 finishes, including a bottom 8 finish in a 3-year period. So obviously the Predators just had one of those. If they're another one next year, then they're in a rebuild.
They qualify.
They would qualify.
And they probably will also agree, I think.
I would probably think so at that point. And their definition of when the rebuild ends is when the team either makes the playoffs in back-to-back years or they win a Stanley Cup in their return to the playoffs. So that is their definition of when the rebuild ends at that point. Making the playoffs back-to-back years or winning the cup the first year you're back in there. And like, there's a lot of things in this piece. Like they've got color-coded charts and all this other stuff in here. I mean, it's a pretty in-depth piece of the rebuild here. And it's interesting to take a look at it. I mean, you look at the 2 longest rebuilds by their definition of it over the last handful of years, 25 years, and go back to the Florida Panthers, which was 2001 to 2021 by their formula of it, 20 years, 20 seasons. And as they point out, that really amounts to like several failed rebuilds rather than one just long one.
Fail after fail after fail.
The Oilers had a 15-year period from 07 to 2021 of basically the same thing. And now they have been the teams in the Cup final for each of the past 2 years. So they eventually got through it. They just went through a long period of suffering in the meantime of it. You get to like kind of the root of all this and you dive through it. And basically the takeaways are rebuilds can work. They just take a long time. And in today's NHL with the cap and being what it is and how there are more teams in the league. We're now up to 32 teams. There's more parity in the league. All these things, rebuilds are taking longer. Is basically what the takeaway is here. So, what do you make of all this? What do you make of what this means for the Predators in terms of the rebuild and the quote extreme patience that's increasingly part of the package that Daily Face-Off has come up with here?
Yeah, it's a great piece, and the graphs are useful. And the active rebuilds, by their definition, the Devil's still rocking and rolling from 2011 on. Yeah, again, the random uprising, like he pointed out in the piece, the 14 Avs did not change that from being a long rebuild, which, of course, what did it pay off? It paid off with a cup. I mean, you look at a lot of these rebuilds, they've paid off pretty well. Now, some of them are so long. Like you said, Florida's a great example of like,
it's like 4 rebuilds.
Who's signing up for that?
Yeah.
Who's signing up for 20 years? I mean, if you're a Florida Panthers fan, you're signing up for now. That's
If
great.
you told me I was getting 2 and then we'll see what they do from here, championships out of it, I probably would sign up for the 20 years, but man, that's a long time.
But like the other active ones that are long-term, obviously the Sharks, obviously the Sabres, obviously the Red Wings, the Blackhawks they are just rocking and rolling in here with, going back, you're stretching back. So you got a lot of these long lines of these ongoing rebuilds. But when you look at like, if they work, I mean, so many of them have paid off. I got to admit, when I read this piece, because I've generally brought up those teams that I just mentioned right now. Whenever we get into this discussion with listeners and Preds fans about It's time to just, rip the Band-Aid off and all that stuff. And so I was like, are you sure you want to be the Sabres? Are you sure you want to be, right now the Red Wings and Blackhawks, two, original 6 teams that are just, I don't, they got a few good players, but I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel there. I think a lot of Preds fans right now would say, yes, multiple years of drafting at the top of the draft, get those difference-making players, develop them over time, build around them, and that's how you build a nucleus in this league. So I understand that, but then you get into the question of going through it.
Well, and you just went through it last year unintentionally, right? Like there was, last year was a rebuild type of season, even though they by no means meant to do it, right? Like the expectations were high heading into last year, and then you just went through it. And frankly, like you saw how miserable it was, and that was 1 year. So are you signing up for more of that? Now, again,
some people, if you know it's the case, maybe that's different though.
Right. If you know that if that's the plan heading into it, obviously there's a different feel to that than what just happened last year. So I understand that. And that's definitely a point worth bringing up. But it does. I'm looking at, they've also kind of got the list, as you mentioned, of the current rebuilds. And sometimes it's a really difficult thing to get out of. Like there are different sides to it because like the Sabres are the worst example right now, even though they're not the longest on this list by their criteria. The Devils are the longest list because they can't make playoffs back-to-back years.
They'll have a random decent year.
Right, but they'll have a random year where they they just got in the playoffs last year. Yeah. So like they'll do it. I think they made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years, but they just can't string them together back-to-back. Sabres can't get in the playoffs. Like they just can't do it. And the Red Wings lately, they can't get in the playoffs. They can't do it. Like it's you can get stuck there for a while if either luck doesn't fall your way in the NHL draft lottery, or if you just make some bad decisions along the way in free agency to try to expedite some of that. So like it's an interesting piece to look at. And you get to the bottom of this piece and it kind of talks about like the average rebuild with the data they're compiled right now is like 8.5 years. That's a long time. Like it's the Predators have never done that. Like, and one of the things they made sure to mention in here was like, they're not really counting the expansion part of it. Because when you're coming in the league as an expansion team, and not Vegas and Seattle, but especially like Columbus and the Predators and those type of teams that came in, like it was just a different set of rules. So the Predators have really never been through the quote unquote rebuild part of it to this point, as they're well aware.
So do they have to at some point just say, okay, that's what we're doing? How many of these teams were transparent about that? Because I can tell you, like the Red Wings didn't plan on, spinning their tires this long. Now you knew it was a rebuild at the front end,
right? I would say the Blackhawks have been pretty transparent about it. Yeah. Although I think we've reached the point with them where you need to start to see some of it pay off. The Sabres have been transparent about it about 2 or 3 times. It just hadn't really worked out for them. The interesting one is the Rangers a few years ago, they sent out this letter to their fan base and was like, hey, this is going to be a rebuild here. And then they were good again like a year and a half later. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, they
get Igor in there. And
right. Like
it can happen fast.
It can happen fast if a lot of things
competitiveness can
fall your way there at that point. But yeah, it's a good point of like how many of these teams like intentionally went into it and then quickly got out of it. Over the last 25 years, I think the best example they found of it was Carolina, who got to the 2002 Stanley Cup final against that great Red Wings team. Yep. They lost. They were bad for a couple of years. They finished 30th the next year and then 22nd, and then they won the cup in 2006.
Hello, Lobby.
Yeah. So like that was an example of you got to a cup final in 2002, bad for a couple of years, and then you won the championship in 2006. And remember, there was a lockout in between that where they missed an entire year. So it was really 2 seasons. It was a cup final in 2002, bad for 2 seasons, championship in 2006. That's the quickest kind of example that they found here.
Yeah. And Boston they actually did have an extended rebuild. They've been the example. They have been, I think it's over now, but they have been the example of being able to keep it going if you get that great core, right? Yep. With a different I mean, they it's like they're the other side of this, which is like being competitive and really good and a threat for a long period of time. But, the question I have is just so, okay, and in Chicago, Detroit, again, we're talking original six. I mean, Buffalo, they don't have a lot going on. I mean, like there are some places where I think it's probably easier to go through this than it would be here, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I think that the Preds have been resistant to the idea of that kind of long-term pain as a strategy, right?
There's no doubt.
But it's like if you're just looking at this, someone asked earlier on the text line about Amy Adams-Strunk. Does she actually care if the stadium's full, that it's full of Titans fans, or just that it's full? And I said, it's a good question. Are the Preds, if you're just talking business strategy, are you more interested in, we can't have years of that place not, selling pretty briskly and all that. It would be better from a business perspective to be good, to be competitive, to be compelling year after year than it would be to go through years of pain to try to win a cup.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I know at one time, all we talked about around here was, man, look how many Red Wings fans are in here, or look how many Blackhawks fans are out here, to the point where the Predators started putting in policies to get them out of there, right?
Yeah.
So I know at one point that was a big priority for them, but they were also winning and making the playoffs all the time at that point too. So when you don't have that, do the priorities change? Like Keith on the text line asked the question, do you think the Preds can afford to be really bad for multiple years regarding ticket sales and growing the fan base, unlike these older teams that can afford it? I mean, look, if you do it for long enough, it doesn't really matter where you are. It's going to have a pretty negative effect on you. Like, I know Red Wings fans are fed up with it, right?
Sure.
Like they want Yzerman out, and Yzerman is about as beloved as you can get in a franchise there.
Yeah.
And they are fed up with it, with the way that things have gone to this point.
And
so,
you can get lost, that's one of those, and you can get lost in that market because you've got three other, major league teams.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I no one's immune to it. No one likes it, but it is interesting. Like I think the one conclusion of this piece is like nowadays there is just more patience. There's more expectation that it's going to be longer.
Yeah.
And I guess I'd never thought about it that way, but I think that is the key question here is, okay, so how long? How long are you all right? How long are they okay?
Well, are they about to go into one? Like, are we at the beginning stages right now of what's going to be a lengthy rebuild for the Predators, whether intentional or not? That's going to be the big question here. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. A lot of your thoughts to get to on this. We'll do that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game.
if you had to pick your priority being there versus getting this team better so that they can make the playoffs, which one would it be?
I can say this hasn't changed. We talked about a blend, and it has a little bit of both in it. There's no question. There's no and when you say a defined lane, one or the other, it's the blend. And I'm telling you, it's the blend of the young kids, which are going to be the future, and the current players that are here now. And we've got good players. You can't tell me that we got Saros and you got Yossi and all the players that we have, that we shouldn't be better than we are. We are. I just know we are. We've got a lot of guys that have a lot of pride, a lot of guys that got a little chip on their shoulder. I feel we're going to be a better hockey team, but they're going to also need the young guys. It's just part of it's reality of this group. As you get closer to the trade deadline, for instance, you know where your team is, and if we have a chance to do something in the playoffs, I'm going to help this hockey team. If we don't, same thing as last year. We're gonna collect assets. We're gonna move some people. That's just the reality of the business.
As Barry Trotz earlier in the offseason with Jared Stillman, talking about his approach to where the Predators are right now. Taking your thoughts on that, 615-737-1025, our phone number. Going over the idea of the rebuild in the NHL and whether or not it works. Jacob on the YouTube chat says the Preds have yet to commit to any type of rebuild, which I would say is true to a certain degree.
Sure. Well, right there, that was sort of a half commit.
That's the thing, though. They're 1 year away by this definition from being in one, right? Like they're right on the verge of one. And I mean, look, frankly, if you really think about it, if this year does not go well for them and they're not back in the playoffs, then you look at the roster and you say, okay, well, now Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault and Roman Josi, who are all in their mid-30s anyway, now they're just another year older next year. Do you really think it's going to continue to get better at that point? Like, this is a big year for them. Like, and they're trying to have that blend, as Barry Trotz talks about. It's a big year for that because this is the year where you need some of your young guys to really not just get in the lineup, but to start to take over as your core players. So if that doesn't happen, then you're, make no mistake about it, right smack dab in the middle of a rebuild.
I mean, I still think it's more feasible because I hear you. You want that to happen. I still think it's more feasible this year that some of these oldies become goodies again, right?
I don't see that happening unless there's some young guys that help them do it.
Yeah, well, there's your blend.
I don't.
So you see a blend.
I hear what Barry Trotz says of, like, you can't convince me that they're as bad as they were last year. Okay, that's fine. You also can't convince me that without the ascension of some one or two or three young guys that just play to an extremely high level that we have not seen yet to this point, you can't convince me they're a legit contender right now either. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, unless Svechkov is coming out and is going to be a 60-point guy this year, like, they're weak down the middle. They are. And no, I don't care how good Stamkos and Marchessault are this year. They're not having career years again at their age. Like, it just, the formula doesn't quite add up in terms of them getting back to being a legitimate threat unless a couple young guys just really explode this year. I mean, it's got to happen. If it doesn't, they ain't making the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think Svechkov would be, if you pick one, I mean, it'd be great to see Evangelista also, like, put it all together, but it'd probably be Svechkov, right? Considering the position that he's been thrust into, like, that'd be your top pick. Nate says Preds are always in no man's land because Trotz won't pick a direction. He says one thing does the opposite, or he says he's trying to be competitive and retool. He just told you it's a blend.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, you get to the end of this next season and it looks about the same. There would be zero reason. And right now I think there's scant reason, but I get it. Like, okay, it was the first year last year, but I think there'd be zero reason a year from now, if it's not dramatically different, to think it's anything but, okay, it's time to hand it over to the young kids. And unfortunately, you signed the goalie for the long-term deal, and you're going to have to deal with that pain. But I just – and you hope that he can still be good through the contract. He can help the young team, but before he's totally done, that the next wave can come up and he can be part of it.
Well, I'm telling you, they're on, I think, a little bit of a powder keg here anyway, too, because there's the coaching part of it that everybody's going to focus on to start, and that's one thing. But even beyond that, like let's say they start off next year and they're bad. By the way, the schedule came out yesterday, and it's a semi-favorable schedule to begin the season, so we'll see what happens. Whole lot of back-to-backs this year. That'll be fun. But you look at the start of it, like let's say they start poorly and they fire Andrew Burnett and they bring somebody else in. Well, even beyond the head coaching part of it, if they're not good next year and they don't make the playoffs, do you think that all their veteran guys are just going to look and say, well, okay, we'll just try it again next year. We'll just run it back.
Right.
Like Stamkos going to be upset. Marchessault already was upset. You think that's going to stop next year if they're not good again this year? Or is that going to get worse? I think it's probably going to get worse. So, I like, what do you do about that? I don't know. Like, do these guys have seasons where you can even move them after that? We'll see what happens. Like, there's a lot in hypothetical land that we could get to on that front. But I'm just saying, like, if they're not good again this year, it totally changes the complexion of how those guys feel about it, how they feel about those guys. And then I think you're probably seeing a mass exodus at that point. Like if they're not good this year and they're missing the playoffs, particularly by the margin they just missed the playoffs or anywhere close to it this year, you're going to see Barry Trotz try to move a lot of guys.
Yeah, there could be a lot of change.
Yeah.
And then talk of more change after that change.
Correct.
Ryan in Nashville says, thing is, look at the Oilers, Panthers, Hawks, Avs, Caps, Kings. They all won cups after long rebuilds, built their core through the draft. Preds are trying to mix and match like it's a collage. Tell the fans what's going to happen, and they will understand. I hear what you're saying, but like we've talked about all the things that they've done. They've done things to win now. So,
well, and again, I hear that. I don't know that I fully believe that either. Like the fans will understand. Some fans will, but there will be some fans that say, "Oh, you're going into like you're planning to suck the next 3 years." Well, then why am I buying tickets? I'm not doing it.
Right, like
that will happen.
They might text here or call us and say, "I like it," but they're not going to Bridgestone.
Right.
So
you always
don't want too many of those.
You always have to keep that in mind in these discussions too. Like, look, I think we're long past the days of having to worry about the Predators like moving, right? Like, the ownership is stable now, and they've done a lot of really good things as a franchise to rectify that. And we used to worry so much around here about, good Lord, can they average 14,000 people? I mean, we're so far beyond that now that it's not even a thought anymore. So I get that, but you also they have never gone through the rebuild. And I'm just here to tell you, like, if you know that team's not going to be any good for the next 2-3 years, you're going to see a reduction in people buying tickets. It's facts.
Yeah, it's a really interesting situation because also, I mean, since the whole Hamilton thing, I mean, look at how different the city is.
Yeah, it's totally
to me, you have a lot more insulation, I guess, right? I mean, you are a viable entertainment option. Also, part of that growth has increased the choices for people in the city.
Correct.
So, I mean, I still think overall you're in much better. Certainly, you're in better. Like you said, I mean, some of those things from back then, it's not even close now. But we just haven't seen what it looks like if it's a multi-year severe dip.
And frankly, and this is not just a Predators thing, but it's a general life thing. Like life's expensive. It's getting more and more expensive as the years go on. And if you're not paying, if you don't feel like you're going to a place where you're just sitting through the grind of a 41 game home schedule when it's a rebuild, that wears on you after a while, and you start to look at the money you're spending and you're like, man, why am I doing this?
Well, and the reason you do it in some markets, like I think Chicago so far, let's go watch Connor Bedard play.
Right.
So like Keith says, who's the last young guy the Preds had that turned into somebody? It's a fair question. And that's where, like, part of this, too, is, like, they need some hope in a young guy who's like, okay, this is going to be a difference maker.
I wonder how Chicago feels about their current situation. And if it was like, hey, we got all that run with Kane and Taves, totally worth it.
I mean, you got the three cups, so you've built up a lot of equity, right, with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
and you have Bedard, so it's like.
Even though that's gone slower than expected, probably.
Yes.
You still, when you win like that, how much is it worth to dip? And that's the big thing. You dip, and if you don't win, then what?
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel the double-edged sword there.
Yeah. The dip with cups, much easier to tolerate, I think.
I don't think you'd find too many fans that wouldn't sign up for that right now if you knew that cups were coming along with it. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The Athletic has come out with their quarterback tiers in college football. And let me tell you, pretty interesting. We'll get into some of that coming up next. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode at 7:45. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Got some tickets to give away, a pair of tickets to Holiday World and Splash and Safari in Santa Claus, Indiana. To caller number 5, 615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a pair of tickets to Holiday World and Splash and Safari and Santa Claus, Indiana. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. And Mike Herndon from PaulKuharski.com will be with us at 8 o'clock. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him. The Athletic has come out with their quarterback tiers list. Normally in the NFL, this one college football, which I enjoyed reading through this. We go deep into this. 7 tiers.
That's not easy to do. Yeah.
7 tiers of the quarterback rankings and the quarterback tiers at the Athletic. So, I mean, you get into, Diego Pavia. Where is he at on this list? Tennessee, who they are going with Joey Aguilar as the starter, which I understand. Where's he going to be on this list? I knew Pavia, you wouldn't have to scroll down too far. I was wondering where Aguilar would be. You got tier 5, baby. Tier 5 quarterback, Joey Aguilar. The beginning of tier 5, number 60 on the list, but Joey Aguilar, tier 5 for Tennessee.
Where's Sam Aguilera? Do you know where he is?
I haven't found him yet.
No? Okay. I'm not sure.
Sam Aguilar.
Yeah. Really interesting. Much harder to do this than obviously doing, 30-some guys in the NFL. So first of all, shout out to those guys for even trying to do this. It's fascinating. There's a ton of information on these guys. I definitely disagree with some things immediately. There's some people that are higher than I would think, a little lower than I would think. I think there's definitely a lot of respect for Pavia here.
Yep.
With tier 2 for sure. But he is kind of he is a difference maker. That you can be a tier 2 and you don't have to necessarily be an NFL prospect. And I'm like total Pavia hater when it comes to the NFL. I love to be wrong, man. I'd love to be wrong. I think he's going to be in the NFL in some capacity. Like he and Zakai Ziegler are somehow going to both find their way into those pro leagues. They're just too freaking. They're just bulldogs. But he doesn't really fit the bill. Number 1 quarterback. I don't know, man.
Kate Klubnik's getting a lot of love this year. And he's
like
a good player. He is.
Yes.
I would like to see Cade Klubnik have some good games against pretty good quality competition on a consistent basis before I anoint him the best quarterback in college football, right? Look, I understand. We talked about the Arch Manning part of this, and some of the hype around him is unbelievable for somebody who I think Vinkin said the other day threw 90 passes last year. I'd throw Lagway onto that too. Lagway, he didn't play a whole lot last year. And so, he was okay. What did Lagway do last year? He threw 12 touchdowns and 9 picks.
He's the most
completed 59% of his passes.
He's my biggest surprise on this list at 5.
Yeah, he's number 5 on the list. I like him.
I could see him being there.
I could see him being really good. But I think got a little carried away with some of these. I honestly, if I was putting somebody at number 1 on this list, as big of a Beamer hater as I am, I'd probably go Sellers. Sellers would probably be my number 1 guy on the list.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Klubnik is you can nitpick. I agree, but you can nitpick Sellers too. I think I'm probably with you at number 2 Nussmeier. I think it's probably one of those 2 guys would be my number 1.
Yep.
But it's close with those 3. I think people who don't know who John Mateer is, it's going to be real interesting in Oklahoma this year. Oklahoma's going to be fascinating this year because he's the latest guy to come out of Washington State. And it's coming out of Siberia and coming into, the mainstream.
Let me tell you, their coach needs him to be good too.
Yes.
Keep his job.
Yeah. Well, unless the buyouts, that's the thing in college football now. It's these buyouts are all too big. You guys, you just keep working and earning that money, Billy Napier. Yeah. Okay. But I think that I'm surprised. I agree with this ranking, but I'm surprised to see it that they have Drew Aller all the way down at 6.
Yeah,
there are some people who I think would make this list and would put him number 1. I don't think he should be. I think he's still inconsistent. You can see all the traits, but I'm not there with him. Some people are. I agree with that ranking.
There are a couple of players on here that as soon as Nico hit the transfer portal, who, by the way, Nico is number 19 on this list in tier 3. But I'm looking at 2 guys that Tennessee fans immediately turned their attention to when Nico left, and that is Sam Levitt out of Arizona State and then Luke Altmaier at Illinois. and Levitt is 7. Altmaier number 13 on the list. So Tennessee fans were shooting high when Nico hit the transfer portal earlier this spring.
Yeah, Levitt is that's high. He's a dual threat guy, great runner. They did great things last year, and he was very good. I don't know that I'd buy him at 7. And of course, I just feel I'm gonna read what they wrote about Arch, who gets tier 1 at number 10. You start right out with ranking man. Quote: ranking man is one of the toughest exercises. Here's another. There is skepticism among opposing coaches in the rush to anoint him after he showed a few growing pains. Here's what a Power 4 offensive coordinator said about Arch. I don't know if I'd be ready to crown him as the best quarterback in the nation right now. I didn't walk away from the Louisiana Monroe film thinking, man, this kid is a no doubt first overall pick in the draft. End quote. Thank you, Power 4 offensive coordinator. By the way, give Arch credit this week for saying a lot of the same stuff. Like he has a grounded approach to his situation, and that probably gives me more confidence he's going to end up getting there. But let's see. I don't know. You don't know. His last name's Manning. Arch Jenkins, with the exact same skill set and playing history to now would not be getting this kind of hype.
No, I agree. Taylon Green at number 21.
Ball 5
Arkansas. How about that? Taylon Green. Got a lot of physical tools.
You forget that. Yeah, that was one of those things like, you almost get surprised now when you see like a starting quarterback is just back with the team.
It's like, he stayed, huh?
Oh, just back at Arkansas. Okay. He's fun. He's fun.
He made some plays against Tennessee that got him in that game.
I tell you who else is fun is 22, and they had a rough go last year with Avery Johnson at K-State. That one, is it K-State, Iowa State, and
I think so, yeah.
That's actually a big freaking game in week 0. We don't have a lot that week, but week 0, K-State, Iowa State. Don't sleep on that one. Don't be a Big 12 hater. That's actually a really big game.
2 interesting ones that are actually 3 interesting ones that are in the middle of kind of like tier 4. Ty Simpson at Alabama at number 47. Gunnar Stockton at Georgia at number 48. So you're talking about 2 high-level programs with new quarterbacks coming in. I know Stockton played at the end of last year when Beck was hurt, but new year as the starting quarterback. And then that freshman sensation in Michigan, Bryce Underwood at number 50 on the list. It's going to be very fascinating to watch him play this year because the hype is real with that kid.
Oh, no question. Yeah, number 1 recruit. Good team around him, but can you right away as a true freshman come in and be that kind of a difference maker? Have we mentioned Nico yet?
We have.
Did you throw
number 19? Yep.
Nico is not number 19.
Yep.
That's high.
That's where he's at. Number 19.
So people behind him. Okay, so I know that I guess he technically lost to Taylon Green, right?
He did.
That's fine. Like Avery Johnson, I 100% put ahead of Nico.
I would too.
100%. Maddox Madsen at Boise.
Yeah.
But you start getting down here, and it's like I don't know if Dante Moore is actually going to be great. He's a huge recruit who's now at Oregon. I don't know. He's at UCLA before. I'm a huge buy stock of Marcel Reed. Buy the stock. Is he ready this year to be, So I guess once you start getting in the 20s, you do sort of have more like, okay, prove it to me. Although, I think Eli Holstein at Pitt should be higher than Nico too, actually. And you know what? I think Malik Murphy should be higher. And I just learned through this thing that he's at Oregon State. Malik Murphy, formerly of Texas, formerly of Duke. And then Ohio State, Julian saying, how good is he? 32 on this.
If you're wondering the exact number Pavia is ranked, it's 15 on the list. So he's right in front of Haynes King at Georgia Tech. But Pavia coming in at number 15 on the list.
He beat him in the bowl game. So
it's true.
But those are both fun guys to watch run as much as anything. I'm not, I'm in Altmaier at 13. Altmaier's good. And like you said, Tennessee, it would have been a great score.
I think
to
based
get
on
Altmaier.
some things he said earlier this offseason, they definitely contacted him.
Right. I'm still, that Bielema ball, which is perfect for the Big Ten. I don't know that there's this much more ceiling for him to hit. So he might be a little bit overrated.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Mike Herndon will be with us at 8 o'clock, getting into all things Tennessee Titans with him. The Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix coming to the Nashville Super Speedway Labor Day weekend, and 1025 The Game has your chance to win VIP tickets to the IndyCar race. Text in the keyword race to 615-737-1025 to be entered to win a pair of VIP tickets. For more information on the event, visit musiccitygp.com. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Generating buzz. So like 3 idiots in the front office are like coked up. Like what kind of buzz are we talking about?
The Cheese and Bowl chose us. They could have chose a lot of people, but they chose us, and that means something.
Ice cold. They gave me an ice cold slice. Ice cold.
Kiss my grits.
This guy's got permission to shoot on my patio today?
Cool.
So I'm going to need you to make your way out this way.
Okay. I'm going to give this a 0.0.
Maybe someday you could be like me and get gout. I'd rather listen to REO Speedwagon fart into an accordion. Rolling down the street in a Nissan Sentra. How come you always have to pick up the food? So whack.
It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode, who has not rapped in a long time on this show, but needs to again. Love how you just immediately take your headphones off. You're like, well, I can't listen to this.
It's already hard enough to listen to my voice. But then when I listen to my voice do that. Katie liked it, though.
That's really the only thing that matters.
Katie was like, yeah, thanks. Like, you're welcome. Was that our 20th?
Yeah.
Well, what am I going to do for 25? By then, how many more stupid things will Ian have to unleash
has
at
no
any
limit.
moment? Yeah, it's amazing. So speaking of stupid things that are just blurted out all the time, and I'm not going to pretend to know this guy that much either, but my God, I complained kind of about Pat McAfee this week. But again, the complaint was more I said I like him on game day. He's so polarizing and gets annoying, right?
Yeah.
Well, Fox is going to bring out Dave Portnoy for Big Saturday, Big Noon Saturday, whatever the heck they call it. Dave Portnoy.
Big noon kickoff.
Big football day. Yay. Okay.
Football on Saturday.
So obviously, first of all, Fox, like their entire, like they just canceled everyone. They just canceled all their shows.
I saw that. Yeah.
I mean, like they got the guy, Danny Parkins, who I think pretty good at Chicago, up at the Score with Porth up there. Brought him in. I heard Still the other day saying, people don't have talent like Danny Parkins, but I thought it was pretty good. So he's on a Fox show. That show gets canceled. I don't know what's going to go on with him. There's all these, but I guess he has some feud with them, right?
I guess so.
But they cancel everything, and so now they're just like, oh gosh, ESPN has Pat McAfee. Let's go get Dave Portnoy. Now I know, ripping him at all, someone on the text line be like, oh, you're so woke. Tell me, is Dave Portnoy good?
I mean, he doesn't really do sports stuff though. I enjoy his pizza reviews. Yeah,
I agree. I've seen those.
Like he talks about sports every now and then, but a lot of it's just him either arguing with employees or doing pizza reviews.
Yeah, or saying, I mean, there was like some, the whole, this must have been years ago, but this recently came across some interview with him talking about like rape, and it was like terrible. Like, I mean, he's had some stuff that's like, dude,
I've seen that one.
Yeah, no, I can find it for you. It's pretty gross. But again, I don't really follow. I've seen the pizza reviews. That's cool, and he's helped people, right? He helped people during COVID. That's great. And I kind of like the pizza reviews. They're all cheese, right? He gets only cheese. Is that right? It seems like it's always
I believe
cheese.
that is correct. Just one plain cheese.
But like, is this going to be good for I
don't know.
I don't watch. I'm just going to be honest. Even if that's the game I'm going to watch, I watch game day. That's just how I am. It's habit over decades. I watch game day. I don't think Urban Meyer's all that good.
No.
I don't think Mark Ingram's all that good.
No.
I don't think Matt Leinert's all that good.
You big Brady Quinn guy?
He's okay. It's just
I
don't watch it.
Yeah.
Dave Portnoy, I just can't imagine is going to move the needle. But I guess they're like, well, but they got McAfee, so let's go get Portnoy.
I mean, he is also, from what I understand, like a massive Michigan fan. Like, wasn't he like almost
he's a Michigan grad,
single-handedly responsible for bringing in Bryce Underwood? Like, didn't he give him a huge NIL deal?
Oh yeah.
So is he just going to sit there and talk about Michigan the whole time? Like, that's the other thing. Like, they just, Ohio State sucks. And Nebraska sucks. Let's talk about Michigan
because they already have right. I mean, they have Woods on there who actually he's okay.
How many people are on this show?
Maybe I've been saying some people who aren't on it, but they definitely have had Woodson as a
yeah,
and he's pretty good. Just like Game Day has Desmond Howard. Desmond Howard's a weak link of Game Day and has been for a long time. But that's a good question. Yeah, he joined forces with like a billionaire's wife who, and apparently got in there and said, "Yeah, you're gonna switch from LSU to Michigan." I don't know. I don't remember if anyone reported like actual numbers on that, but I don't know. I just don't know how this is a good idea at all. Like Big Cat, I have seen him. Does he have an actual name or he just goes by Big Cat? Does he have a name?
He does have a name. I don't remember what it is, but yes, he does.
He seems pretty good, pretty funny, some good analysis. But yeah, Portnoy, like what is Michael Madison said, Dave Portnoy is an insufferable jackass. I have no idea who thought this was a good idea. Sorry for the language. That's okay. I still read it on the air. You're fine. Zach says, yeah, Dave Portnoy is a centerpiece of that. So your rant is Dave might not be good. Strong rant, Joe. Hey, man, my rant is why do we have to, like, this is what we must have. We must have I know I'm sitting here in a rant yelling into a microphone, but like, do we just have to have the loudest
now I'm wondering
jack wagons possible on the air at all times? How many
people are going to be on this show? That's what I'm wondering now. Like, how many people are going to be on this thing? They're going to have 9 people on the desk?
Well, it's a good question. Yeah, I think that I know our Andrew Marchand had a thing that said I think there's going to be a big announcement, I think, on the Fox. And I think it's more than this. So I'm assuming there's some sort of – remember, ESPN tried to do a Barstool show, and it failed miserably.
Yes.
So I think there's probably going to be part of that too. I mean,
Okay.
they just zapped their entire daytime programming.
I did.
But, yeah, I mean, I just – like anyone, if you like Dave Portnoy – now, again, maybe you like McAfee better, so it's not a fair question. But if you like Dave Portnoy, you watch Game Day, is this going to make you switch to Big Football Day? Yay, Happy Fun Day?
I don't know. Probably not.
I'm asking the people. Someone help me out.
So we've got College Game Day.
Dan Katz.
We've got, College Game Day, Big Noon Kickoff. We got the SEC morning show on there too, or the SEC Nation.
Yep.
How many of these we got? I mean, there's a lot of options out there to watch some college football in the morning, I guess. Some preview shows. I still think Game Day is by far the best.
Big Ten Network's got one of their too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably be sticking with Game Day. That's just me.
Yeah, Game Day, and my editor Mitch Late, who likes to correct me at all times, I did say that it was Kansas State, Iowa, week 0 in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I thought so.
But the one time that I was actually right, Mitch. But that's also no, that's not. I'm wrong. I was going to say that's going to be the Corso. That's not the Corso Swan Song. The Corso Swan Song is the Texas Ohio State game, right?
I believe
think that's
that
right.
is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, which is cool. I mean, I think that's a great way to do it, to have him do the opener. Say goodbye. I mean, that guy's been doing Game Day since 1987.
Yeah.
Which back then it was just like, and here we are in the ESPN studios, Lee Corso. What kind of games we got today? And it's amazing.
That sounded like a broadcast from 1930.
Yeah,
Good for
exactly.
you.
Hey, here we go.
Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
That's a forward pass that Army has caught fire.
They punted on second down, according to Rexrode's research.
That's right.
We'll have Mike Herndon with us coming up next. We'll get into all things Titans with him. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning, talking all things Titans. And to help us do that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in our buddy Mike Herndon to the program from PaulKuharski.com. Mike, good morning, buddy. How we doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. We are less than a week away from camp, Mike, and I got to be honest with you. Look, I know that they've just taken 2 receivers in the 4th round, and DK and Io Manor, but I look at this receiving core beyond Ridley, and it scares me to death. Do you share that view? How do you view the receiving core for the Titans heading into this season?
You know, I think I'm a little slightly maybe more bullish on them. I think Tyler Lockett's a long way from what he was at his peak, but I still think he's a professional receiver, a guy that could be a maybe not a good number 2, but a passable number 2 behind Ridley. I think Van Jefferson, again, not a guy that anybody should be excited about. Nobody, that you would expect to break out and put in a huge season, but he's a professional receiver. He's had good seasons at the NFL level. And I think you're okay with kind of those veterans, but you are going to need to get something. If you want any excitement out of this group, I think you are going to need to find that from Chimera, DK, and Alec Ioman. Those are the guys that can produce, that can push this group from, certainly bottom 10, if not bottom 5 in the NFL among receiver cores to something a little closer to middle of the pack.
If you had to pick one of those 2, and hit your wagon to, this is going to be the 4th round pick who's like a surprise rookie in this league, who would it be?
Io Manor's my guy. I was big on him on the draft. I thought he should have been a 2nd round pick, frankly. And I just think the size, the kind of explosive movement ability at 6'2", 210 is impressive and eye catching. And then of course you see all the kind of highlight reel catches that he's capable of on his college film. He's the guy that I'm excited about and the guy that I think could greatly outplay his draft position.
Mike, I saw you tweet this yesterday, and it got me thinking about, the worst position room in the NFL. Titans inside linebackers probably going to be pretty hard to top. When you really think about it, it's not great. I mean, there's a lot of hope of Cedric Gray in there that's involved with that too. What do you make of where they're at? And if it's as bad as you think it might be, how big of a limitation is that going to be for this defense?
And no offense to any of these guys, but they're all playing, I think a spot or 2 above where they should be on a good, NFL roster. Cody Barton is a fine linebacker. He's not a guy that should be leading that line. Cody or Cedric Gray, James Williams, we have no idea what either of those guys are right now. And one of them is likely going to have to start unless you're going into, a surprise David Benda or Anthony Orgy, breakout kind of realm. So it is concerning to me, to say the least, that you're basically banking on a starter. And then obviously your top backup is the guy who doesn't emerge out of those 2. It could get really ugly real fast. I mean, what happens if Cody Barton, God forbid, tears an Achilles in the 2nd week of training camp? Yeah. I mean, what do you do? That becomes an absolute albatross of a room at that point. But how bad it'll hold them back, I don't know, to be honest. If you're going to have a weak spot in an NFL defense, I think you could find a lot worse spots to have weakness than inside linebacker. The Titans have a few other weaknesses.
We can go down the list if you want.
Find some.
But I don't know that this group is going to necessarily hold them back from what they want to do, but it might, in combination with some other groups, make this a pretty poor defense this fall, I think.
And that's what I wanted to get your comparison of the concern level here with the concern level at edge.
Yeah, I mean, edge is probably more concerning to me, though I do think they may have more like real NFL players in that room. Like I think Draymond Jones is without question a real NFL guy. Arden Key, he is what he is, but he's a real NFL edge rusher. I mean, he's semi-productive. He's not a 10-sack guy, like we know that, but he's going to get on the field. He's going to give you 6 or 7 sacks, and that's acceptable for a kind of really for a third. You'd ideally like him to be a third, but and again, that's another group. Everyone's playing probably a role too high for what you'd want on a good NFL defense. I have a lot more hope in Femi Oladejo that I think than Cedric Gray or James Williams, which probably skews my optimism for that room a little bit higher than the inside linebacker group. Although I think it's a much more critical position, and that is certainly a bigger problem for this defense if they don't get kind of better than what the roster says they should get, this fall. I think that's a bigger problem at the edge range.
Mike, as we're watching Cam Ward over the next few weeks as we get to the regular season, what are maybe 1 or 2 things that you really want to see from him early in the year that would signal to you that, all right, this kid's got a chance and he's headed on the right path here, given the circumstances around him?
Yeah, I just think you want to see a guy who, he's going to make some mistakes. Like, let's not put expectations on him that are unrealistic. There's going to be interceptions. He's going to throw some. But you want to make sure, is the ball moving, I guess, on offense? That's the biggest thing for me is he making plays required to keep the offense moving? And that sounds kind of, simplistic, but I almost feel like that really is the measure of a quarterback is, I'm not really worried about stats or completion percentage or anything like that. I don't think that's going to be kind of I don't think there's a number that I can tie to it. But if I'm watching the Titans offense, they're moving the ball well. He's making plays that are there and not necessarily putting the ball in harm's way all the time. He's not taking a ton of sacks. Those are kind of the things that I just want to see him do at an early stage. Can you keep this offense on schedule? Can you keep it moving? Can they put up, 20, 25 points a game? That would be what you want to see. Are you making this work with what you've got around you?
Will he be working behind an NFL level offensive line, you think, this year, Mike?
I really do, actually. And as probably the person who was hardest on this Titans offensive line, probably the last 2 years at least during the offseason, I'm very actually bullish on this group. I think Peter Skoronski kind of really figured it out the late half of last season, where he kind of became a shutdown pass protector at that left guard spot over the back, probably 8 or 9 games of last season. Right guard, Kevin Zeitler, you know what you're going to get from him. He's a veteran, but he's still playing at a really high level. And then I think, the tackles are the question, which, good Lord, how many times have we said that? But I have a lot more faith that Dan Moore can at least be an adult in the room at left tackle. He's not going to be Trent Williams, but can he be, several, shades brighter than Nicholas Petit-Frere, from a performance standpoint? Yeah, I think he can. And I think the same for J.C. Latham. I think Latham was okay as a rookie in, probably less than ideal circumstances, obviously protecting for Will Levis, who was a notorious sack taker in college and continued that at the NFL level. There's a symbiotic relationship between the quarterback and his protection as far as, sacks go. And I think he'll be in a better spot, flipping back to the right side, being able to play over there, playing next to a veteran like Zeitler, and hopefully not being, necessarily left on an island so much, because the Titans spent so much time last season having to protect against Nicholas Petit-Frere, Jalen Duncan, John Ojukwu, whoever they threw in at that, cursed right tackle spot. They weren't able to give J.C. Latham a whole lot of help on that left side. They kind of just fed him to the wolves. And I think this year with Moore, you have a little bit more of a steady presence on the other side, that if you need to help Latham in pass protection a little bit more, you can do that. And that's an option on the table for you. I've always said you can help one tackle kind of limp along in pass protection, but you can't help both. That just completely shuts down an offense. And I'm hopeful enough that they can patch something together at the tackle spot to be good enough to get along for Cam Ward.
All right, Mike, last thing for you here. A couple of questions for you. Have you pre-ordered your Arch Manning jersey? Is it there yet? And have you bought tickets to the Heisman Trophy ceremony already in New York as well?
So the Arch Manning jersey is in the closet currently.
There we go.
So yeah, no pre-order necessary. Yes, I'm ready to go to New York with my man Arch. I will accompany him, do whatever he needs me to do.
Bodyguard
on the security team?
Out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so. I'm trying to get in there with some connections here. If he needs just a tall guy to stand next to him, I can do that. Yeah, super excited about Arch, obviously. And I think, not to branch off too much into Texas football, I think the thing that's going to make this Texas team good, though, is going to be the defense. I think the defense is going to be special this year, and I think that's going to give Arch a little bit of relief, as he's not going to have to necessarily carry the team.
Feinbaum says best quarterback since Tebow college football. Just saying.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
We'll find out.
I heard he has a great handshake. So, there you go.
That's true. That is true. Mike, thank you, brother. Appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to camp getting rolling next week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Mike Herndon, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode from paulkuharsky.com. We'll react to what Mike had to say, and we will get back into our Titans question of the day. How patient are Titans fans willing to be at this point? We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. 102.5 The Game's SEC Media Days coverage brought to you by Brewhouse South. Experience Nashville's ultimate sports and brew hangout at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Appreciate Mike Herndon for being with us in the last segment. I don't think he's joking. I think he's got the Arch Manning jersey in the closet. He's ready to go. Right around the corner.
Oh, I took that very seriously.
Oh, yeah, so did I.
He's like, dude, I had that one before he committed.
Let me tell you,
And
pre-order
he was a sophomore in
not
high school.
necessary. It is right over here. I've got it right over here.
Yeah. So interesting stuff on, some positivity there for the offensive line and receiving core.
Yes.
A little less so for. Hey, he is. It's a great point. Like inside linebacker is like, man, they must really feel good about at least one of those young guys, right? They have to.
You would think. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. When he threw that out there yesterday, and Herndon tweeted out, I mean, look around the NFL and tell me how many position rooms are worse than inside linebacker. Really, the first thought I had was, I don't know, maybe edge rusher for the Titans. Like, it's pretty close.
And
to
wide
me.
receiver.
And wide receiver. It's all pretty close. I mean, at least at receiver, there is Ridley and Lockett, even though he's diminished at this point. Like, that he's a solid veteran guy. So at least you've got that. But like at edge rusher right now and at inside linebacker for the Titans, it is extremely light. And as he said, like one significant injury to either one of those rooms, and they are totally screwed. I mean, totally, when it comes to those two position groups on defense.
Yeah. I mean, look, receiver, if you ranked all the position groups, this is the reality of the Titans. I think they wouldn't be that far from the top. Right?
Oh, I don't know.
I guess it depends on, like, what do you think of the offensive line? I mean, if you're ranking the corners, are you counting Snead? Then that changes that for sure.
You have to count them.
Yeah. Then, well, there's certainly that's probably their top position group, right? I mean, unless you just count like Pollard, like the running backs, pretty good.
I like safety. They're all healthy.
Safety could be all right. Okay, so those are your good ones.
Woods, right?
Yep.
So your bad ones, your scary ones and then obviously your interior defensive linemen. I mean, that should be one of your best groups.
Yeah, that might be the best.
Yeah. But then, inside linebacker, edge, tight end.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got some doozies out there. Yeah, quarterback.
Quarterback room is not good.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's right.
I mean, it all depends on Ward, but like what's
TBD.
behind him is bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think receivers could look okay relative to the other position groups. And then offensive line is
encouraging.
Yeah, I know. But, I think if Mike's right about the offensive line, that's pretty good for the Titans.
I would agree. Yeah. No, I mean, if he's right about the offensive line and he's right about Elikayo Manor, those are two very good developments for the Titans right there.
Yes.
I mean, that would start to lend to, all right, you might be able to see Cam Ward be able to work with something this year if you can get those two things.
Yeah, exactly. So, we'll see. The Dan Moore thing, I think he's one of the most important guys on the roster, the entire roster of this team. Just be solid. Like he said, I mean, they've just been in this cycle of like, which tackle do we more have to help? We have to help them both, but which one is more in need of help against this particular matchup? And if you are worried about both, then you're just and like he said, I think last year sometimes Latham looked bad because they were forced to make him like just suck it up over there. So if you can shore that up, everything looks a lot different. I mean, center is still big thing too.
Yeah,
that's a big question moving forward with Cushenberry.
So our question of the day for the Titans, it's pretty clear, and this goes back to basically the immediate aftermath, Joe, of them firing Rand Carthon, even before they had hired Mike Borgonzi. You heard Chad Brinker basically start talking about patience and like the approach that it's going to take to really build this football team. And it kind of feels like 2027 when they open the new stadium is what they're aiming for, to be really, really good. They've drafted Cam Ward. We'll see what he looks like this year. On the other side of that, there's been a whole lot of losing that's gone on around here lately for the Titans that Titans fans have had to endure. So what are fair expectations for the patience that's required here, and how much patience are Titans fans willing to give as we move forward here? That part of it's going to be really interesting. Had a lot of different thoughts on that earlier in the show. We welcome more of those now at 615-737-1025. But Joe, where do you come down on all that?
To me, I'm definitely patient this year. I'm definitely just more interested in Cam Ward, obviously first, but then also, okay, Borgonzi comes in. How do you do with these receivers? How do you do in general, with some of his acquisitions? We had a call earlier about Jaden Daniels in Washington. I think the second biggest development in Washington, other than Jaden Daniels is a dude, and he's going to be a dude for a long time, is that Adam Peters seems like he kind of knows what he's doing.
Yep.
Remember, he was the number 2 in San Fran, ran number 3. Adam Peters cooked last year.
Legitimately.
Yes. Got to boil the water first. But
food was left on the counter.
That's right. Then you get tryptophan, you take a nap on the plane. So, I think that this year you're going to get a little bit of you're going to get a look at Cam Ward and an idea, but you're also going to get an idea of Borgonzi / Brinker / whatever they're doing over there.
Ziegler.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. Sure. But
McKenzie.
Yes, absolutely.
Anybody else over there?
Talk about cooks in the kitchen.
If I missed anybody.
Rand gets sent out, and now there aren't enough stations for all the cooks. But
it's like a Buc-ee's in here. There's people everywhere just making food.
Oh my gosh, another chopped brisket sandwich? Do we need that many? But they to me, if I'm patient this year, but you got to be competitive in 26. You have to be. This idea, the NFL is not built for long rebuilds. We did the NHL thing. Apparently, the NHL is built for decade-long rebuilds.
Apparently so.
It's just, hey, let's take a decade and really figure this out, okay? The NFL, you should be allowed 2 bad years. And if you have more than that, you got serious incompetence. And again, with the Titans, the big concern is the problem is at the very top. You can't fire the owner. But there are people here doing these jobs, and bad owners in pro sports find their way to winning still. Gosh, I saw this thing the other day with Marge Schott. Did you see? I forgot about this.
No.
She was pissed that they swept the A's in 90. First of all, if anybody remembers the 1990 World Series, the A's were supposed to mop the field with the Reds. Reds swept them.
Yeah.
And she did not pay for the celebration because she lost the Game 5 revenue. Now, there's some ownership issues right there, okay?
Good gracious. How had I not heard of that?
Yeah. No, I mean, Marge Schott, man. They had the Sports Illustrated cover, and I know now I'm really doing a great job. I'm somehow comparing Amy to Marge Schott. I'm not doing that. It just came to mind. But the picture, they were smoking the cigarette with the smoke, Anyway, yeah, 2026. Be competitive. That, to me, I think should be the reasonable take from a Titans fan.
Matt says, I feel like next year, so 2026, they have to be competing for the playoffs. If not, then it's time to sound the alarm at that point. Yeah, the thing is, that's also going to require, if you're doing that, you're seeing what you need to see out of Cam Ward. Some of that has to happen this year, where you do what you can next offseason while he's on his rookie deal, to surround him with as much talent as you possibly can. That's the name of the game. They absolutely need to be in a spot next offseason, regardless of how this year goes as a team, to draft somebody that can come in and help him. I think you're probably going to see, it's hard for me to believe, unless both these guys they just took in the 4th round are absolute studs, it's hard for me to believe that we're going to walk away from the end of this year and 2 things are not going to still be a pretty heavy need, and that is edge rusher and wide receiver. You're still going to need those in next year's draft. So some answers coming from that. And also, as you move more into free agency and you're not paying a quarterback an astronomical amount of money, putting more talent around him there.
I totally agree with you. Even best case scenario, receiver and edge, you need more needs. But just imagine if Oladejo and Iomanner are oh, those are guys.
Yeah.
Now you can draft a little bit more best available, and you'd still address that. That's why it's so valuable. That you just have to get to the point where you don't have screaming, glaring needs at 6 different positions.
Which right now they have. Titans fans, how patient are you willing to be with this process here as you've got a new quarterback taking over, a new stadium coming in a couple of years, and also a whole lot of losing that's already taken place. We'll continue to take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, the game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, the game, broadcasting live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Got the Open going on in our studio today on the television.
Yeah, we
Rexrode is captivated by it. A lot of, frankly, bad golf being played out there right now. A little sloppy.
I'm captivated by the existence of 365 days of no sun. What would that be like?
It's like, wow.
Sounds awful.
It's like 55 degrees and rainy every day.
July 17th.
Yeah, it's good stuff. There's like a kid out there watching the golf tournament. Got a beanie on. It's like it's July, man. It's not like you guys are in the southern hemisphere either. Like it's summertime. What are we doing?
But looks like an awesome golf tournament so far, though.
Yeah, going well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Michael in Madison on the Titans says, I already see the vision. We're going 9-8 this year. Going to be picking 19th and 2026. Taking Eli Stowers as Cam Ward's new best friend. Solving tight in there. Blue Captain on YouTube says, say the Titans go 5-12 and they hire a new head coach. If that happens, how many years do they get from the fan base then? Too many years of this, and you start to look like Lions blue instead of Titans blue. This is from Blue Captain.
See, it's an interesting, yeah. So that the thing with that is, of course, you're talking about obviously a franchise that's been there forever, but like the slightest peep of competence with that fan base gets them going crazy. And now they actually have a good stretch. They've had a good stretch going. So, and they came back in droves, but that's the difference between that fan base and this quarter century old fan base.
Yeah. No, it's very different things. There's no doubt about that. One thing that I talked about earlier in the show that I still wonder, it's been so erratic from ownership the last few years where you're handing out contract extensions to general manager and head coach, and then you're firing the general manager less than a year later, and then you're firing the head coach the year after that, and then you're firing the other general manager the year after that. There's been so much of that going on lately that do Titans fans who have lived that and who see that, are they more patient because of that this year? Are they like, you know what? We've been going crazy around here, firing everybody left and right. Let's just maybe accept that there's going to be a rough year this year and there's going to be some growing pains. And hopefully as the year goes on, we see some progress for our quarterback and that there's more patience to endure some of that this year if you're a Titans fan. I wonder if that's the case. But I also do sympathize with the Titans fan, Joe, that's like, go watch what we've had to endure the last couple of years and tell me to sign up for more of that the next 2 years. It's rough. Like, they're in a rough stretch right now. Like Jeremy on the text line says, I'll consider the Titans successful this year if I can watch a full game instead of deciding that mowing the yard and taking out the trash is a better use of my time.
There you go.
That kind of sums things up.
Yeah, that's well put. Yeah, I mean, it's like the quarterback thing changes it, of course. Like, for example, let's say the Titans did go out and sign Sam Darnold or whatever. Some of you hate Darnold, I think maybe a little bit excessively. Name your really like top of the market available free agent QB, like a Baker 1 year or whatever like that. I'm not saying, I know Baker's had crazy numbers in Tampa. I'm just saying like a guy who might be a middle of the pack quarterback, Kirk Cousins type guy, middle of the pack, good, can win, has won, has produced. And you had that quarterback with basically the same roster and maybe, I don't know, I guess in theory less because you're paying him more. What would so you'd probably be looking at a bad year. And I advocated for that, by the way, because I just didn't think the quarterbacks in this draft were that good. But you'd be looking at probably a similar bad year, but you also you'd be like, okay, and then when are we going to go find the QB? At least you have this guy who could be it, right? You have that hope of the unknown, which is always undefeated.
Yeah, and, we went through some of the Titans' history earlier in the show where they've had some of these stretches that have coincided with, drafting a quarterback high in the draft. This is a number one pick, so it's different. And it's also a head coach that just went 3-14, and it kind of feels like you've got on one hand Chad Brinker and the organization preaching patience, and on the other hand, you're looking at Brian Callahan. I think you're trying to determine exactly where he fits into that. Like, is he a part of that patience? Is he, I'm not going to say just like totally off the hook this year, but is there a pretty big amount of grace that's going to be shown his way this year? Or are they looking at it and saying, hey, you better show us something pretty significant with Cam Ward or we're going to get our guy? Like, I have no idea how they view that part of it, but it's interesting the dynamic as we're talking about fans and patience between how I think the fans view the building of the roster part of this and then the coach part of this. It kind of feels like two different things there from the fan base.
Yep, and it could be, it could end up being like the Bears with constantly, different timelines. Ed says to me, you don't know about your young QB until year 3. So barring a disaster in 25 or 26, I say Callahan should get to 27. Well, you may say that. I don't know if they're going to say that. I tend to lean that way too. You also want to see beyond Cam Ward. Of course, you need to see progress and hope this year, but you want to see an overall better coach football team.
Yes.
And, maybe, and if not, and if he does, if it ends early for him, then I think you have to look at, your coordinator hires as a young coach and say one of them needs to be someone who has skins on the wall in the NFL.
Yes. I think that's even fair criticism after last year of like, with as bad as it went, would it have made more sense to make a change on one of the sides of the ball? Like I would have probably gone offense, but would that have made more sense after offseason? We'll see. They've stuck with that, and we'll see if the payoff comes here in year 2 with a new offensive system or a new offensive roster around them at offensive line, and then certainly the quarterback part of it as well. I just like, if you're a Titans fan watching all this, I know the long and the short of it is basically just going to come down to Cam Ward this year. Like if, Mark from Ashland City says, if Cam Ward looks like a guy at quarterback, I'm 100% on board for giving them some time. That's all I want is to have a dude at quarterback. And I feel like most Titans fans probably feel that way. But again, as somebody pointed out earlier, Joe, we're sitting here in July talking about this. We got camp coming up. It's easy to be, excited and think about the patience part of it now. But when November rolls around and you're 2-8 or whatever you are, what does it feel like then? What's it feel like to actually go through it again and have a year that could be like last year?
I think it's way easier if you're 2-8, averaging 25 points a game with some offense and a bad defense, than if you're 2-8 and you're averaging 17 points a game again.
Yep.
And there's just, you're okay on D, you're bad on O. What does it mean? What does it mean for him? Did you start him too early? If you're 2-8 with some offensive capability and competence, I think that's a much easier one to take for everybody. I would think so.
Brian says, I'm fine with being patient as long as there's a little bit of competition there. Last year, it seemed like we were rarely in a game and it was over before it started.
Yeah, there were a lot of close losses in there. And
There were
some would-be wins that were
there were also some absolute spankings in there too.
Yeah, it started out kind of competitive, but as the season went, it felt worse and worse.
Yeah. And they got I think I have to go back and look at it again, but I want to say they lost by 10 or more points like 6 or 7 times, which in the NFL season is hard to
cover.
do. Like, it's hard to do.
I think we talked about that at some point. They did. I don't know if they covered any spreads. They were like terrible against the spread from what I can remember.
Yeah, they were like historically bad against the spread from what I can remember last year. So, yeah, like more competitiveness. This goes to the coaching staff too, but it also goes to your personnel. Like, in the second half, can you hang around in games or do you just totally fall apart, which is for some reason been a theme that's stretched across multiple coaching staffs and multiple general managers now of just not being able to get things figured out in the second half. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that in terms of the fan watching experience and how bearable it is.
Yeah, it's like, obviously you have those games early. You could have won both of them. The Green Bay game was embarrassing, and all of a sudden the wheels are off. Then they go win 31-12 at Miami, but that was also – who the heck was quarterback?
Tyler Huntley, Snoop Huntley, the quarterback for the Dolphins.
Close game against the Colts, agonizing loss. Then you get Buffalo and Detroit just to destroy you. Yeah, I mean – there was just they
lost 7 games by 10 or more points and just redid it. Yep.
The random win at Houston, but then it's like, down the stretch, it wasn't like blowouts, but it was losses.
A lot of them.
So they come into this season with 6 in a row on a 6-game losing streak.
That is correct.
Got themselves that number 1 pick at 3-8 when they won that game at Houston. Who would have guessed they could get the number 1 pick? And yet, against all odds, they got it done in the month of December.
They sure did it. 615-737-1025, our phone number. A lot more of your Titans thoughts to get to as we wrap up the show. We will do that next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game. Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Dennis says the Titans were competitive last season. They went into the first quarter tied in every game. As that ball was kicked off, they were tied every game.
Very good point, Dennis. He also says, Iron Man's physical traits are eye-catching. We've had a lot of that. All I want to know is he ball catching?
I hope so.
That's a good point.
I hope so.
We'll see.
By the way, Michael Madison says they were 2-14 with a push against the spread last year, which is the worst of all time. Hard to do.
David in Paris says, how the fart did you guys find something to talk about this team with this team is admirable. I read that wrong. How the fart you guys find something to talk about this team is admirable. Hats off to both of you. Thank you, David.
You just don't really run across the type of brain power that you get from Rexrode and I on a daily basis very often in the real world. So we're just glad to be able to put that on display for you guys every day.
Brain busters?
Yeah.
Farting as I like to say.
It just doesn't get a whole lot more intelligent than this program here, to be
right.
frank with you.
We can make chicken salad out of, Titans football.
You guys thought Rand cooked? Listen to this show. That's what we do. Larry
like chicken
says,
salad cold, by the way.
I just want to see a Titans offense that can score touchdowns after the first drive of the game. That would be nice to spread some of the touchdowns out. Maybe, I don't want to go crazy and get to averaging 23 points per game, 24, but spread it out a little bit too. Maybe some in the second half.
Here's a stat I need: 20, 22, 23, 24. How many total second half touchdowns did Tennessee Titans produce in 51 games? Because that's one of the weird stats about this team that it's gone. Again, it's like the whole receiver thing among different front offices and different coaches. It shouldn't be a thing for a franchise, but 3 years of that is really amazing.
It's insane.
So someone give me that stat.
Yeah, I guess some of that is the longer your terrible offensive line is out there against the other team, the more opportunity it is for them to just wreck you. I guess some of it's probably that, but it is wild how just inept offensively they've been in the second half the last 3 years. It's absolutely crazy. So
to the point of the texture is you can go mow your lawn because it's not only they're going to lose, but they're not even going to do anything entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. And look, it makes a difference. Look, it's professional sports, and eventually, if the Titans if they start losing games every week, 35-28, we're going to start whining about them losing games 35-28. So you need to win. That's the object of professional sports. But the double whammy of losing and then just having a nails on the chalkboard offense to sit there and have to ingest every week if you're a Titans fan is just an absolutely brutal combination that we're now 2 years fully deep into.
Right. And this is true of both sides of the ball, but let's say it's that and the defense is pretty good. Even with the defense, how many young guys on this defense do you feel like could be part of a core of the team moving forward? Now maybe that means Gray and or Williams is good. Maybe it means Sweat. Okay, great. Those are good. Brownlee, there's a few.
Oladeja, we'll see. But yeah.
But it's the offense with the young, what you hope is the building blocks of a really good offensive line. Still could be. Skronsky and Latham could be building blocks of a really good offensive line in this league at some point. It's possible. And then obviously the quarterback, but even the receiver there, it's way more one of the tight ends. It's way more important to me that side of the ball excels or does better. And then I think patience is earned much more.
If you're a Titans fan out there that is going to the games this year, that's the other thing. We had somebody call in earlier talking about how they're tired of going to games. I think it was Kenny that called in. They're tired of going to games and it being 50% full of the other team. If they're 2-8 again this year, how long does the Cam Ward part of this work in favor of Titans fans? Titans fans who the last couple of years when they've been losing to the level that they've lost, that were more willing to part with their tickets. Does the fact that Cam Ward's quarterback in this team, does that change that at all this year? How long into it does it change if things don't go well on the field?
Just depends. To me, it depends on how not well are they going. A year ago, people were excited about Will Levis.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to remember that sometimes, but that was the case. And it's not like he lit the world on fire in his half season of playing in 2023, but he did enough. And there was enough, of course, there was a lot of talk, of course, a lot of glowing talk about him. But yeah, I mean, he's a talented guy. So people were excited, and it didn't take long at all for, okay, what's next? Different deal with pick 1-1, right?
Yes.
Of course. Different deal. Pick 1-1 who's going to start playing right away as a rookie. But, it's hard to quantify it, but you definitely want to see some kind of hope from him this year. Like, okay, if Cam Ward generally gives you what Will Levis gave you as a rookie, is that good or bad?
I need a little more than that.
Need a little more, but not a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think people would be giving up on him. Like, if he had that, like, basically take that through a whole season and he stays healthy, take Levis's numbers, project them through a whole season, the general performance, which is some big plays here and there, a bad pick, but like, boy, some of those throws pretty good, ran around, little fire, all that stuff. I think that people would not be jumping off the Cam bandwagon going to year 2.
I don't think they'd be jumping off the bandwagon for sure, but I need.
Of course,
to
you want better.
Well, I mean, I need to see better than that. Like, you're the number 1 overall pick. I think sometimes around here we have exaggerated what Will Levis did in his first year. He was okay his first year. He had an unbelievable first game, and then really after that, it was a whole lot of he's all right after that. So for the number 1 overall pick, I need to see a little bit more than that this year. That's just me. Maybe people disagree with that, but that's fine. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, the Derrick Henry factor is Levis did have him on the field, which it's the primary focal point of all defenses. So you're not going to have that for Cam this year. Yeah, it's interesting. I agree. Like, in retrospect,
I mean, Will Levis's first year
disagree.
completed 58% of his passes. It's not like he was out there.
No, he wasn't
just making all kinds of plays all the time.
But what it is when you have a rookie, and if he makes 3 good throws in a game, then it's like, okay, see it?
Exactly.
And that's what's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
I agree that you want better.
Yeah, and look, Cam Ward, I think Herndon nailed it earlier in the hour. He's going to have some bad turnovers this year. Like, there are going to be some throws that Cam Ward makes where you're like, oh, boy, that was awful. Hopefully, there's also enough of the, wow, did you see that throw he made on the run across his body right in stride to Calvin Ridley, 25 yards down the field, to counteract that as you get through it.
Yeah. But it's just like we say, when's the next time? Next time Tennessee have a quarterback at Hooker, Titans have a quarterback like Tannehill. That one Levis throw in that first game.
I know, it was unreal.
Woo!
Yeah.
Still living on that one. Give him another Mayo commercial.
That's going to do it for us today. DVD is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.